All right, we'll go ahead and start with Damien Calhoun.
Hey, Damien.
Greg, see contract extension there. Your thoughts on that? And earlier in the year, you said things were at a stalemate, sort of. How do you see the process get from there to where we are right now?
Yeah, look, a couple of things. One, I'm excited and proud to be here and to be forward facing and continuing the project. This is the club that I care about. This is the club that has given me so much opportunity as a player and as a coach. We just won a championship, and I believe there's many more in our future. So for that, and I love the people that we're working with. I believe in everybody that's here, and I'm excited to be again looking big picture, and in addition to looking game to game, but looking big picture as well, because I think it's important. The key when you go into any of these situations is that everybody's connected on a plan and the direction, and that we all see where we are and to where we're going. And I think that's been really important through this process is, after you win a championship and things transpire after the championship, you're going to lose some key players because of the circumstances and the situation. The key thing in any challenging moments is that you have a plan and a method and a way to get out of it, and that you have a strategy, and everybody's working together inside of that. And that was very clear. We all knew we wanted to be here together, and we all wanted to be building forward. And all of the discussions that we've been having have been really in that nature is okay, what are the steps? It starts with the next game, but there's also the next series of games, the next 6 months, the next year. All of those things have been a part of it. So I think a lot of those discussions have all been kind of working sort of simultaneously together, and as the whole process has been working out. For me, these opportunities are never ever about a money situation or anything. They're always about me being with people that we believe in, and that the people that we believe in have a connected plan to be successful and win championships. We've done that. We've had plenty of difficult stretches. When I arrived, the club was in a difficult stretch. We were making little progress in the first 2 seasons. The third season, we hit a lot of stress, but in the third season, in all of the stress, we stayed true to a plan that allowed us in 24 to really take a big step forward and go. And I think that's important now. We're in a tough moment, and the key here is that we're all aligned in the steps that's going to take to continue to move this club towards a perpetual, like every year, being in a contender for championships. But for me, I'm excited about all of it. The people I'm working with, and the process, and being the club, the fans that I've grown to passionately care about over the years as a player and also as a coach. The joy that we had together last year is something that I want to be here all the time, not the feeling that we have right now, but the joy and the pride that they had when they came to the stadium and saw the team playing the way it played last year and what we were doing. But we understand internally why we're kind of in this moment, and doesn't mean we should be in this moment exactly where we are, but we understand the challenges that we're going through and how we're going out. What I'm a little bit uncomfortable with is that the moment or the day, because we're all in a little bit of a not feeling great about where we are, that there's a little bit of a spotlight on me that's something positive, because I feel guilty for that moment, when really in the moment it should be about all of us fighting like MFers, if you will, to battle for the next one and battle for, and I know that's where we're at, but today just feels a little bit selfish to me, and I don't want to be in that position. That's not who I am, but I'm super happy to be here. So that's why my emotion is what it is. I feel a little awkward, because I don't love these types of I don't love these moments, and especially when we as a group we're fighting together for and with the fans, we're fighting together for the positivity that we all want and that we deserve.
We just had him in the hearing, so you
Yep.
talk about what you meant to his career and everything. After last year, how important is it for you to have that conversation with the guys, or that relationship that you guys built with these guys to sort of work through this?
Yeah, I think every player every player wants two things, and you could probably add a third, which is to be successful and make money. But they want two things, I think, in their career, and one is that they're getting better and that they're feeling that growth in themselves as a player, but also to be successful within the collective group. And so, my connections with the players is for both, but it's to help them to achieve their personal goals of improving as a player, being successful on the field, being successful inside of what we're trying to do. And for me, understanding, where each of them comes from and who they are is the best way to try to coach people and to bring them the best success that they can. So in difficult moments, it allows us to have very honest conversations and to challenge each other in ways that can be positive. And so that's where relationships become also really important, is just when you're working through some moments. So with Eddie, he knows I trust him implicitly, and I've seen him grow as a player here, and he's still growing. And without some of the guys that he had around him in the past, he has new responsibilities in our team because he's now sometimes the senior guy in there, depending on the day. So he has some new responsibilities, and for him, it's how to take on those responsibilities, how to best perform with those responsibilities. So those are things with Eddie that we're working towards and helping him, again, in those two things, improve as a player, but also help the team to be successful.
Any questions here? We'll go ahead to Zoom. Paul Tenorio, go ahead.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Greg. I think it's probably fair to say that it's atypical in sports, soccer for sure, I think all sports, to have a long-term extension in the midst of a start like this. A couple questions off of that. I'll start with one, which is, how do you make sure that this isn't sending a message to fans that the current state is okay, right? That isn't the message here, and how do you feel kind of a responsibility to transmit that?
Yeah, I think I hope I have enough capital inside of the LA Galaxy family, and I say that I mean fan base. Obviously people I work with, that my time, by and large, when measured over the 11, 12 years that I've been a part of the Galaxy family, that the vast majority of that is as a winner. As even through tough times, it's always been about building forward and getting to being successful. Playing in 3 finals as a player, winning CONCACAF, winning U.S. Open Cup, getting to the finals and winning the championship last year. It doesn't mean that those things don't come with their down moments or challenges along the way, and some more difficult than others. Even 2023 is an example. But we've come out of each of those winning and getting on top and being champions. Even in the time that I had in Toronto, it wasn't like we went to 4 finals in 7 years, and it wasn't like every year was perfect. We also had some challenges where after we won championships, then we had to rebuild some of the roster, and we had to figure out exactly what the next version of us was going to look like to be successful, and we were able to do that. And so I think that's what I hope that also people see in this. There's no such thing at this club or in my genes or blood or anything. If I felt like that was the case and that was what this was about, I wouldn't be here. This is about the Galaxy being champions and continuing to focus on being champions, and recognizing and being honest about the facts and recognizing the challenges that we're facing, and always looking at the solutions, and always looking at working together to continue to build forward, because success is really the only thing that matters. And this is something that I have been a part of multiple times in this league, and I know we will be back on top again, and this is going to be a process to get to where we are. It's coming off. We're not the first team in the championship who won a championship and has had a difficult time the next season because of the circumstances of the league. And for now, it's for us to be solution oriented and find that inside of our group, and also find that inside of how we can continue to progress.
Thank you. Just to follow on that, considering what you just said, kind of feeling confident that these were issues that you think you can work through, and certainly I think the salary cap situation next year will be different than that of this year. Ricky will be back, etc. when you're in the midst of this and the deal's not signed, the pressure's mounting. Were you getting to a point where you were concerned it wasn't going to happen? And how much does having this deal done now allow you to maybe navigate things differently and not have kind of the two pressures looming over your shoulders, one being the contract and the other being the results? Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a collective thing, because none of these solutions are specifically about me. It's about all of us, and I think this thing kind of allows, again, all of us to reconnect in that way that is not just short term, but it's also long term, and also for the players, to the extent maybe that it takes a touch of stress off them. That's my hope. Again, I didn't specifically want this day and this moment in terms of the announcement and everybody talking about it, but what I want is the players to feel the freedom to go on the field and to express themselves and to be the best version of themselves, understanding that they're competitors and winners, and we all hate the results that we're under. But the best way for us to get out of this in the short term is for our players to have confidence and to go on the field and to be able to be the best versions of themselves inside of the collective ideas. So that's the short term. The long term is that we keep building our resources around them and within them to give them the tools to be successful. We need to have Joe and Gabe healthy and on the field. We need to have we look forward to getting Ricky back. He's such a huge player inside of what we're trying to do. But these are things that, like, Ricky's not a short-term tomorrow or next week thing. That's going to be a little bit down the road. So I think all of this just kind of allows us all to not reset, but just reconnect on all of those things that really matter and get the contract stuff that it doesn't help us win games. It just kind of is there. What needs to help us win games is all of us just really reconnecting and connecting on the details that we need short term and long term to be back in the finals and win championships.
Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Greg, thanks for talking. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh.
Just a follow-up on Joseph and Gabe. How much involvement do you expect them to have this weekend? How involved were they in training?
Both are involved in training. Again, I hope the next day or two they continue to progress forward, and I expect them to be involved. We'll have to kind of see how the next days go to really determine at how much. But it's nice to see them back within the group and reconnecting with their teammates who've been gone for almost a week and ready to get going again.
And then I know in 2023, certainly, I think we talked about just the pressure that sort of mounted from everything that was going on, whether it was injuries or outside or everything like that. It almost feels a little bit with all the injuries that maybe some of the pressure, there's something similar this year. Is that something you can use to sort of help get over this? And I think you talked about it, but you said, you feel bad for this being selfish, but does this have a chance to be positive in terms of, you getting the extension, things are more solid, everybody can relax maybe a little bit? And I don't want to say relax because that has bad connotations.
Yeah,
too,
no.
But I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do, Josh. I'm gonna start with not answering your question, and I'm gonna come back to answer your question because I didn't start with this because my instinct is at the start of this interview is kind of to think about the team, always the team first, the team first. I do want to say as I continue that I want to say thank you to Mr. Anschutz and to Dan Beckerman and to Will for sticking with this process and working together to get to where we are. I want to say that because, again, my first instinct stepping in front of this thing is to think about the team, but I want to say thank you to them as well for the opportunity to keep working with this team to build and this club to build forward. So second is, yes, I think 2023 is a very important lesson in for all of us in managing difficult situations, understanding, because we understood that year what the plan was going to be to get out of it and where we would be. And yes, there's a short term inside of this where every game and every training session and every meeting and everything matters towards this group being successful and winning the next match and taking points and going. And so that matters, but also there's as you prepare a team forward, you've got to be 12 months, sometimes more than 12 months, 6 months out in front of a plan in order for that plan to be able to carry through. I think 2023 was a great example of we had opportunities to, for example, add players during the course of the season. We chose not to because we knew what our plan was going to be at the end of the season, and we chose to be patient and act on it, and that put us in a position to win a championship in 2024. So I think there has to be some decision making inside of a broader plan, and not just a reactive day-to-day sort of just trying to put your fingers in the dam or the dike, if you will, to stop the bleeding. So there's two parts to that. I think when it comes to the group, I do think this group they give a shit. They care. They're trying. They're working. Again, I'll say New York got away from us, not because the guys weren't trying, but because I think things transpired out there in our different shape there where guys were a little uncomfortable in their decisions. I put that as a little bit of an anomaly, but I think guys they give a shit, like I said, and they're competing their asses off, and they're trying. But inside of that, you do want to have a certain amount of being calm and being relaxed and being confident and being the things that you need to be the best version of yourself. I mean, any of us can think about moments where we have a touch of anxiety or a touch of where we're not really comfortable in a situation, and you wonder why you're not completely yourself in that moment. And that's the thing that I'm working to try to draw off these guys so that they can go out in the field and be the best version. We're very detailed where we can. These games are coming fast, but on our game plans to try to get them clarity so that they can feel comfortable to go out and just execute on the day on a plan. And so these are just, the days today is for me is to try to remove some of the stress in an incredibly stressful environment. And as much as I can take, I'll take it. And I want them to just go out and be confident and be free and be the best versions of themselves to compete and battle and make the fans proud of the effort and the commitment. And then the day comes down to executing. And so I hope that we get that somewhere inside of all of this.
Go ahead,
Thanks,
Baxter. Go ahead, Baxter.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Kev. Hey, Greg, congratulations on the new deal. I guess this puts aside all speculation about whether your son will continue at the academy. I'm sure a lot of people are happy that that'll happen. So congratulations on that as well. I just was curious as to whether the idea that not only you got the contract and the contract that you got, but all these other pieces around you were taken care of. It seems as if this is a real doubling down on your vision, a real commitment to your vision and giving you time to implement that vision. I wonder if you could talk about that. And then, with all the talk about your career, we've really sort of been able to focus on the fact you're the fourth winningest active coach. You're second in terms of MLS Cups. You've had a successful career, which begs the question, is this the most difficult season you've had as a coach? Thanks.
Well, thank you to all the kind words. I won't address each of those individually, but thank you. Inside of that, I'm trying to remember the different things you kind of posed inside of there. This is one of the more challenging seasons, but I take on this some experience because, and I'll go through a brief history. And Toronto in 2016 in the finals, 2017 won the finals, 2018 at the beginning went to CONCACAF Champions Cup, 2018 didn't make the playoffs. At the end of 2018 and going through CONCACAF, we had so many injuries, guys were having surgeries after, different things, just the run went late, and it was costly to the group. So it was injuries, guys ended up leaving the club, different things were going on and it was unstable, and it was a freaking hard year, because what I learned in that was we tried to keep adapting the group and figuring out in that stretch, if we play this way we can get a result, if we play that way we can get a result, and we tried a bunch of different things. And inside of that, to be honest with you, the group kind of lost the identity that it had when it was being successful. So for me, one of the takeaways in that stretch is you never want the group to lose their identity. You never want the group to lose the idea or the things that they need, that they feel comfortable with, and what it takes to be successful. Because once you start scrambling for your identity, you have a much tougher time building out. So one thing for me in this group is, while we adapt and we look for different ways against different opposition to be successful on the day, it's to never lose track of what our identity is going to be in the big picture, because you don't want to be swimming in that stream. That's a tough stream to be in. And so that's one of the things. In 2023, again, that was another really, by the way, in 2020, in 2018, coming out of that, it took us until the window of 2019 to re-solidify what I think was the group. And then in 2019, after the second window, I don't think that team lost a game in like 17 or 18. I think that team holds the record in the MLS for the most games without a defeat, not including MLS Cup, because we did lose an MLS Cup, but in regular season. So that group did find its stability and then built out, went to a final, and then competed for the supporter shield in 2020 during COVID season while living in Connecticut. So I take from all of these experiences, 2023 was a massive experience also here, where there was a lot of different variables going on, and how you manage each of those different variables to keep the team together and focused. And we weren't able to dig ourselves out of it, but we had a good run until the injuries just kept building up. But we stayed true to a long plan, and the things that needed to happen for that plan to come to fruition. And 2024 writes itself in history. So with each of these experiences, you have to look back and take. I'm big on reflection. I am big on looking in the mirror. I am big on trying to take lessons from each of these situations and then trying to apply them in the right way. So that's what I want to do with this group, and I know we can. I trust it's a wonderful group of guys who care and who are good players and are going to fight their way out of the challenges that exist.
Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Greg, I got two for you. One is, did you pay any attention to the punditry around this season? That in that sphere, there was a lot of, maybe the Galaxy needs to go in a different direction. They should change how they play, or that they should change the head coach. Was that? Did you see any of that? And if so, did you have any reaction to it, or did you just ignore it, or what?
To be honest with you, I don't have a lot of time to on my hands, especially in these moments where I'm like deeply immersed in trying to find solutions inside of a challenging situation, to be too caught up in the deep thoughts of people who are trying to analyze what's going on inside of a very with a multi-variable situation. So I don't. I mean, I know the gist of the thought process, because I think every club faces that conundrum, if you will, at various times, especially when times aren't super successful. So, I think that's a discussion that people are welcome to have, and I think they are within every right to have that discussion. What I would say is I would go back to part of this is the style of play that my teams have had over the last 9 years. Only next to Seattle can anyone remotely even talk about being close in terms of success. And so we're in a stage right now where we have some young players who are learning and evolving within our league and within some of the things that our style of play and some of our systematic things ask. They're learning. And then we have some older players who understand the things that we're asking, but aren't going to be able to do it on their own in the moment too. So it's about connecting this group. And so, that to me is what I'm focusing on. This is who we are. This is how we're going to be successful. I'm very open to how the game evolves and evolving with the game to find the right ways to be successful inside of like how I believe the game is moving forward and teams are being successful relative to our group and where we're trying to get to. So there's a short term and a long term to that as well, Scott, when it comes to my work with the group and our vision as a club. What I don't think you want to do, Scott, and there are plenty of examples out there, is to take a vision of who you want to be as a club and then do the 180 on that vision and for example, find somebody who has an opposite vision because you think that's where you're at now. I think that's something that I think every club who's done that has not ended up necessarily in the right position. I would reference, for example, a Philadelphia team that we played the other night that is a very difficult team to play against and a very difficult team to beat. They went through a coaching change. They stayed very much in the same philosophy. And when we played them, I feel like it was Philadelphia, whether it was a very good coach, a great coach in Jim Curtin, or it's the work that Bradley's doing. they were in the vision. So I think, if you want to talk about coaches is one thing, but if you want to talk about vision of the franchise, that's a completely different, when it comes to playing on the field, it's a very different thing.
Yeah. And secondly, you mentioned some long-term stuff. Coaching jobs don't last as long in this era as they perhaps did in previous eras. There are parallels for you with the Galaxy as with Peter with Sporting Kansas City, Brian with Sounders. Internationally, we can look at the biggest examples would be Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Giroud at Auxerre in France. If you had your druthers, would you want to?
Giroud was there for like 40 years, wasn't he? Close to?
Yeah.
I played against him when he was coaching at Auxerre. The guy was a legend. He was there forever.
And made them into something so much bigger than they were. If you had your druthers, is this where you'd like to spend your career? Could you see in a best case scenario being a Galaxy coach for another 30 years or so?
In an ideal world that doesn't always exist, I would love to be. As I've said to you, this club means a ton to me, and in my heart and in my experiences as a player and a coach. So absolutely, I think a lot of us dream of that, and so that's what I would love to do. It comes with results, and it comes with again continuing to have a plan and continuing to build and make good decisions towards that plan, so that you always are going to make some bad decisions along the way. That's true. But if you are very clear about what those decisions look like to get you to where you want to go, and you understand how those decisions fit together and they're not isolated, and then I think you have the best chance. And so I think consistency is important, right? Consistency behind a good vision and a vision that's been successful is really important. And I think that's the key of what you've seen inside of those clubs. There's been a consistent vision. Everybody has been driving towards the fulfillment of the highest level of that vision, and the vision has been one that can be successful. I think those things are fairly consistent inside of what we're trying to do, and the people who are involved, from Will and his expertise, which is of a high level, and myself as the coach, and our players, and the people who are around who need to execute, and Dan and need to execute upon those things. We need to be at the highest level we can to execute at this on the vision as well.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
And we'll wrap up with 2 more questions, first with Rob and then with Daniel.
Hey, Greg, thanks so much for your time, and congratulations on the extension.
Thanks,
last week, while Will was doing his podcast circuit, he mentioned that Ricky would probably be back sometime in November. Now, here's hoping that the Galaxy is playing in the playoffs and still playing in November, but if they're not, has a determination been made on whether to shut down Ricky for the year, especially in light of, possibly not being in the hunt for the playoffs, or, and if you guys do decide to shut them down, is the club looking for additional reinforcements? Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. So first, I think we're still a little bit outside of the window as it relates to Ricky's recovery on when and how prepared he will be come September, October, November. Even though, somewhere in those 3 months is probably where his likely return would be. There's still steps that he has to take in order to be there. And I think, it's important for someone like Ricky, who is the ultimate competitor, that he has that as a mission and a goal for himself, because he wants to get back on the field, and he wants to help the team, and he wants to be a part of it. And I think it's important for him to have that goal, that if there is a chance for him to be on the field in September or October or whatever that looks like, that he is still fighting for that, just as we're fighting for in every one of these games for the next day and the next game and the next opportunity to keep ourselves in it. So I think there's a time down the road where that may or may not become a discussion, and it isn't today. But seeing how Ricky is recovering and all those kinds of things, every scenario that works best for Ricky is also something that we're considering, and whether that impacts the club too, and the things that you mentioned are there. But I really Ricky is a focal point in the center of our organization, and so any decision is going to be also, I think for all of us, is also going to be around what's best for Ricky, in addition to how we can help the team potentially and others. Thank you.
And one final question to Daniel. Go ahead.
Hey, Greg. Let's move it to Sunday's game. This Sunday's game, El Tráfico, we cannot say much about the rivalry between both teams, but from the coaching perspective, this could be one of the last matches against Steve Cherundolo as a coach, at least because he's leaving, not because something else. And for you, how has been this rivalry between you and Steve in the coach's perspective through all these years?
Yeah, I think this is the first one this season. I think we have 3, right? 3 times we have them this year, or 2? 2? All right. Usually we have them 3. So, yeah, we have them a couple of times. So, but Steve is an excellent coach. He's done a great job with that team and the club since stepping into the role that he's been in. Steve is also, I consider him a friend, not somebody that I necessarily call or talk to all the time, but he's a friend and a guy who I like, and I have good soccer conversations with him. Even a couple months ago at the U.S. game and over at SoFi, we were just chatting about things, and so I do appreciate his vision for the game and everything. And I love to compete against coaches who are very clear about what they want and have teams that are very difficult to play against. And so I love those moments. The league will miss Steve when he moves on, but. Looking towards this weekend, it's the only game that matters right now. Is looking at their team and what they're capable of, and doing our job to try to neutralize the qualities of what they do as a team and what their individuals are capable of doing, and trying to find the balance of power inside of it for ourselves to create our chances and to again neutralize them. So. I love these duels. I love playing against coaching against guys like Steve, because they're very clear in what they want to do, and the team is executing. And so for us, it's now to get free in our minds, to be clear on our plan, and for our guys to go out there and give everything they have and execute upon the day, and have the support of our fans, because this is our home game. And we know our fans are going to be there and behind us 100%, is to use that energy and to lean into that energy to go do battle. These games haven't always been about who's in the best form. These games are about who can win the day, and that's what our focus is going to be on as we go into the weekend. And I look forward to our teams dueling it out on Saturday or Sunday.
Awesome. Any other questions on Zoom? If not, thank you for your time, Greg.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Question.
What's your message to Steve, talking about Steve playing against America, representing MLS in this coming days, the 31st?
Yeah, well, look, for Steve and for the league, I hope they go out and they play a good game and they put on a good exhibition for both our league and again, I as a coach and as a human being, I'm his fan. But it's also LAFC, so what am I supposed to say about that? I hope it's a good match. May the best team win. That's what I say on the day, and I look forward to a hotly contested and a high-level game between the two teams, and that's I'm not watching as a fan. I'm watching just as a soccer, and I'll watch them to see what both teams are trying to do, and I'll take away from it what I can from the day. Put me in a tough spot there.
Thank you for your time, Greg.